In today's agenda for this session, we'll be looking at the overview of Africa in the technological age, focusing on where Africa was, where Africa is currently, and where Africa is headed, as well as population distribution by gender and age. Asking questions: why is Africa lagging in comparison to the rest of the world in technology? Considering factors such as education gap and illiteracy, government policies and taxation, and poor infrastructure. And how is sub Saharan Africa adjusting to digital change? And how Africans are forging ahead thinking of the wheres and hows. And lastly, looking at the impact on gross domestic product. And conclude with a brief wrap up of how it takes a community. Population and distribution by gender and age. The number of people in Africa is estimated to be over 1.4 billion. And the gender breakdown is women at 706,249,000 compared to men at 705,520,000. The median age is 2.43. Now let's look at the next slide. Why is Africa lagging in comparison to the rest of the world? In comparison to the rest of the world, Africa seems to be lagging with weak connectivity, trade infrastructure, knowledge, ecosystems, just to mention a few. Let's look at the top reasons. Education gap, high illiteracy rate. Studies show that the lack of access to education is one of the leading reasons Africans lag behind the world. According to the UNESCO Global Education Monitoring Report, 33 million children in sub-Saharan Africa do not go to school, and within that group, 18 million of those children are girls, and 2/3 reach the final grade of only primary school. 40% of Africans over the age of 15 and 50% of women over 25 are illiterate. Although in the past few years the illiteracy rate has improved substantially in Africa, there is still much improvement that needs to be done. Outdated government policies. Government should revise policies that are more consumer friendly by reducing or eliminating high taxes on network usage. Mobile connectivity has the potential to accelerate sub-Saharan Africa's digital transformation and drive socioeconomic advancement. But realizing this potential requires policy measures to support network investments and improve the affordability of digital services for consumers. Mobile service taxes in Africa are reported to be the highest in all global regions. The GSMA is a global organization that plans projects under their Mobile for Development initiative that focuses on helping drive innovation in digital technology to reduce inequalities by forming partnerships between the mobile industry, tech innovators, governments, and the development sector. Mobile sector taxation is a barrier to digital inclusion in sub-Saharan Africa, where mobile services are subject to high level of sector-specific taxes. Fiscal policies that encourage rather than hinder much needed investment in infrastructure will help to improve consumer access to digital services. GMSA's programs have impacted the lives of over 126 million people by empowering underserved populations to build a better future and support the drive for sustainable business and large scale socioeconomic improvement. Affordability of service and smartphones is another key barrier to connectivity, which is why they recently made the case to rethink mobile taxation in Tanzania to highlight the impact of sector specific taxes on mobile broadband adoption. Mobile operators have implemented measures to support vulnerable communities, including offering discounts on mobile tariffs and providing digital content and tools to help people and businesses to get online. According to GSMA's State of Mobile Connection Report 2021-2020 ended with more than half of the world's population using mobile internet. This translates to over 4 billion people connected to the internet via mobile devices. Even with this impressive growth in mobile internet connectivity, both in terms of mobile internet coverage and usage, the digital divide still exists, and more work needs to be done to bridge it. 3.4 billion people, or 43% of the world, is still not utilizing mobile internet despite living in areas with mobile broadband coverage. Poor infrastructure, limited wireless connectivity. Where is Africa compared to the rest of the world in technology? 3 different sources reported that the electricity median uptake in African households is 70, 50, and as low as 46. In most of the countries in Africa, only a slight percentage more than half of the households have access to electricity, and in some countries such as Tanzania, Uganda, and Rwanda, Ethiopia have electricity available to less than 20% of the households. This all creates a huge difference, and because of the unavailability of electricity, the African people are not able to enjoy the latest technology as the rest of the world. Looking at where Africa is at in internet connectivity compared to the rest of the world, looking at where Africa is in mobile internet compared to the rest of the world, mobile internet connectivity is the primary way most people access the internet in sub-Saharan Africa. Mobile is driving digital inclusion. This delivers significant economic benefits, reduces poverty, and transforms lives by providing people with access to a range of life-enhancing services. The below chart indicates that by the end of 2021, around 40% of the adult population in sub-Saharan Africa subscribe to mobile internet services. Although this figure is a marked increase from 35% at the start of the pandemic, it still lags behind the global average of 70%, which is a considerable margin. GMSA forecasts that there will be nearly 100 million additional mobile subscribers in sub-Saharan Africa by 2025. Nigeria and Ethiopia, leading the pack, will account for almost 1/3 of these. Increase in subscription and technology mix. So, how is sub Saharan Africa adjusting to digital change? In a recent article by McKinsey, he states that in 5 first months in 2022, more than 120 billion people was invested in building out the metaverse technology and infrastructure, more than double 57 billion in 2021. In Africa has shown to increase ever since. Looking at the metaverse ecosystem, it's growing around the world, including in sub Saharan Africa. The region presents untapped potential and significant growth prospects for the metaverse, given its young tech savvy population and thriving tech startup ecosystem. This is beginning to attract the attention of global metaverse ecosystem players. For example, Meta has launched a 2-year, 50 million XR programs and research fund to build the metaverse, which includes funding for the Future Africa Telling Stories Building Worlds program. The program provides grants up to $30,000 in mentorship. It also supports the VR storytellers to develop new and compelling content about Africa and showcase innovative storytelling that shifts negative stereotypes about Africa. Forging ahead, looking at the wheres and hows. A growing number of local ecosystem players have announced various activities across the metaverse value chain, including the following: the Africa Rare, Africa's first metaverse, had announced its plans to commercialize the 3D virtual reality experience that is set in Ubuntuland, a virtual world that merges creativity, cryptocurrency, and commerce. In February of this year, 2022, MTN revealed that it had purchased 144 plots of virtual land in Ubuntuland. Thrill Digital in Nigeria uses AR, VR, crypto, and gaming to create a fashion metaverse. The firm won a $40,000 grant from Epic Games, a U.S. video game and software developer investing in metaverse development, to start Astra, a play to earn crypto game where players try to amass as many tokens as they can within an allotted time to win real-life luxury fashion items. Mobile operators will play a central role in the future development of metaverse in sub-Saharan Africa. Primarily, mobile networks, particularly 5G, will provide the required connectivity for the metaverse in the region. Leveraging new and existing relationships in the value chain space, leveraging those relationships also in the telecom industry and other metaverse emerging spaces will prove to be beneficial. For example, SK Telecom launched the Infland platforms for users to make digital interactions in a virtual environment, and AT&T has partnered with Kintar, a sports entertainment AR business, to create and deliver in a game AR experiences to sports fans in stadiums and venues. These examples highlight the opportunities for operators to capture additional value elsewhere in the value chain, particularly in developing platforms, content, and services in the metaverse. How is Sub-Saharan Africa adjusting to digital change in relation to GDP? According to the Mobile Economy Report, Sub-Saharan Africa, published in 2021, mobile technologies and services generated more than 130 billion of the economic value added in Sub-Saharan Africa in 2020. This will reach 155 billion by 2025 as countries increasingly benefit from the improvements in productivity and efficiency brought about by increased take-up of mobile services. Mobile industry in sub-Saharan Africa continues to play a crucial role in the response to COVID-19. Mobile operators have implemented measures to support vulnerable communities, including offering discounts, as mentioned earlier, on mobile tariffs and provided digital content and tools. So by the end of 2020, 495 million people subscribed to mobile services in sub-Saharan Africa. And it is estimated in the period of 2025 that 4G adoption in sub-Saharan Africa will double by 28% compared to the global average of 57%. It is still early stages in the journey to 5G of sub-Saharan Africa as of 2021. There were 7 commercial 5G networks in 5 markets across the region. By the end of 2025, it is projected that 5G will account for 3% of the total mobile connections in the region. These are the references that were used today. As we conclude, I want to leave you with this quote. Technology is best when it brings people together, by Matthew Mullenweg. It takes a community to make this global ecosystem work. Let's work together to provide even the basic tools, beginning with education, by making it accessible and affordable to all, and building the infrastructure to support the growing technology ecosystem of the future. In a world divided by physical borders, technology removes these borders and grants opportunity to all people worldwide. Thank you, and may our gather be well.